Hello. Welcome back to Trading Weekly. Once again, this is what we're on 14th of December today, already halfway through December. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing great. Happy Sunday to everybody. Shaun, this is amazing. I mean, we had a snow today, snow day. So
Yeah, so how big was it you said? I've forgotten already.
I think about 4 inches in New Jersey where I live. So it's not bad, but you still need to shovel the snow.
Yes, it's like all those movies that we watch in the UK. We don't get snowed in here, very rarely. If you do get a bit of snow, it's normally kind of February and everyone just panics for about a week. But yeah, it's always a good fun. Obviously, welcome back everyone to another live stream here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here every Sunday. Pretty much. But we'll let you know when we're not here. Next week, actually, you might as well get it straight out of the bat. Next week, we'll do a Christmas special. Be
Yes.
about an hour and a half, depending how much audience requests we get. We'll talk about our picks for this year, which is 2025, how they went, and obviously we're going to talk about our picks for the year after. I've got that right, didn't I, Kay?
Yeah, you got it right.
Awesome. We will be sporting either well, maybe both, but a Santa hat and a Christmas jumper. So that's probably worth coming anyway. So yeah, be prepared for that for next week at 1 p.m. Eastern time. As always, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well at the Trading Weekly. And of course, we're just a couple of guys looking at charts on the internet. It's what we do. It's what we love to do. Giving our thoughts and feelings. So of course, it's not financial advice. And lastly, obviously, massive thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform. We literally couldn't do without you. So with that out of the way, should we jump into the slideshow? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. And hey, Paul, we got your ticker request. We will cover that in once we're done through the presentation.
There you go, Paul. Straight in with Rivian. It's an exciting one. Also, a big day on Friday, despite the market coming down. I would love nothing more to talk about Rivian. I'm sure you would be the same as well. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
get that ticker off the screen there. Jump into. Oh, there we go. There we go. Got there in the end. So as we mentioned, obviously tomorrow is December 15th. Is there any? Is it a full week this week? It is, right?
It's a full
Yeah.
week this week. The following week will be a shorter week. I think
Yeah.
24th will be, I'm assuming, till 1 p.m. and then Friday, because Christmas is on Thursday. So 25th will be off, 26th will be again half day. So it's gonna be very low volume week.
Very low volume indeed. Okay. Well, before we get to that, how was your trading week overall this last week? Did you get any trades in, or
Yeah, just the Rivian trade that we talked about the previous week
that's the
on the
put, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
Rivian trade. I was already in a Iran trade, which basically went in my favor. The stock actually dipped on Friday. I was very surprised on the drop, and then those were the only two tickers I traded last week.
Nice. Yeah. For me personally, I took a little bit of profits on Rocket Lab. Came up to $65 after an insane move after pretty much all week actually. Pulled back a little bit on Friday as expected, but it just punched up to 65 early Friday, which was amazing because I had a limit sell sorted. So when I came back to to the charts late on Friday, I was like, oh, okay, sweet, made some money. And
Yeah,
of course, Rivian doing quite well. Obviously, having the event that happened on Thursday, seeing the reaction on Friday, which I'm sure we'll get into a bit later on. Yeah, that was lovely to see for my position. Anyway, let's jump into the charts. Well, not charts, sorry. And the market overview for last week, very mixed, but mostly the S&P kind of big hitters, of course, are kind of down. Nvidia down 4%, Google down almost 4%, and then you've got kind of a few flat ones here. We've got Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, and Tesla kind of floating around 1% up, 1% down. Some of the bigger names, obviously, we had a couple of earnings. Of course, we had Oracle, which is just up by the M here, just where my cursor is
yeah.
there, down 12%. Not such bad earnings, which we'll get into in a minute, I imagine. And of course, Broadcom as well reported earnings. Did they report earnings? I did get it right, didn't I?
No, did
Oh, that was
no
the week before, maybe. I don't
the
know.
week before, yeah. The Oracle was down because they also had a news come out that they are pushing out the data center buildup for OpenAI from 2026 to 2027. I think in general, the AI names right now, there's just a lot of overhang on them. So you're seeing weakness across the board, whether those were retail favorites like Irene or NBIS or CoreWeave, or you see the bigger Mag 7 names. It's everything is very flat right now. So even you may get a little bit 5% here, 3% there, but in general the sentiments is very weak.
Yeah, agreed. And a couple more things to notice, I think, on here. We've got Meta down 4%, and Netflix actually down 5%. Might be worth talking about them a bit later on, see what their kind of
Yeah.
strategy is moving forward, because they're coming back down to some nice levels, potentially. And obviously, with kind of earnings not round the corner, but probably late January. We've got the financial sector down in the bottom left here, kind of doing quite well last week as well. So yeah, not looking too bad, but obviously just the bigger names kind of bringing down the overall markets, which is to be expected. I mean, Nvidia alone, 4% is the biggest stock in the world at the moment. So yeah, we'll move on to fear and greed index. Do you want to talk through this slide for a second, Kay?
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, it's last week we were in the neutral. We are back into the fear, and that's the whole point I was mentioning. Is there's we wanted to have some sort of a like enthusiasm in buying. We're not seeing that. It's still kind of sort of very flat. You'll see a very green day one day, and the next day it just gives up all the gain. That's exactly where we are right now. The put to call ratio is pretty flat. VIX, not much happening since last week. SPY was, as you can see, was flat for the week, and then we did see some more drop in the QQQ because heavy on the tech side, and you saw all the tech performing pretty bad, especially from the AI trade sentiment standpoint. The only key event I'm watching next week is the CPI. I mean, yes, there are other events. You have the Fed speaker speaking throughout the week, and hopefully we can get some sort of catalyst news on AI that can spur. Even though we did have a news on Nvidia did put a statement out that they are looking to expand the production capacity of H200 chips. But it's very conflicting news because one day they were saying, hey, China said, hey, we don't need your H200 chips, even though the White House said, okay, go ahead and sell these chips to China. Next day we see Nvidia saying, hey, we don't have the capacity, we need to increase our capacity for the increased Chinese demand. It's a very conflicting news.
Yeah, and that probably relates to the choppiness in the markets as well. We've had it's felt very choppy as well, which I haven't really been day trading recently just because of that and kind of obviously the seasonality around things. Everything's a bit busier this time of year for me and obviously everyone else as well. So yeah, that's probably why we're seeing a little bit more choppiness. Of course, 1 week ago we were sitting at 38 on the fear and greed, and 1 week later now today we're 42. So it hasn't really moved, which kind of reflects that as well.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the next slide, make sure you put your tickers requests in the comments down below. We've had a couple already, but we're always looking for more. So yeah, get them in nice and early. We can get to those charts in probably about 5 or 10 minutes or so. We can't really see that comment on the screen, but you kind of get the gist. I'll take that off now and then move on to the next slide, which I believe is upcoming earnings. So we're coming right to the end of the earnings season now. Obviously, that's kind of normally marked by Micron and Nike. Anything that you're looking at this week at all? Or is it kind of
Just keeping an eye on Micron and Nike. Nike has been in the dumps for a while now, so hopefully it can have that turnaround because we did see a turnaround in Lululemon.
Yes, we did actually. Maybe we can get that one up a bit later on. Maybe note that one down just in case we don't get too many
I'm gonna put Lululemon.
requests. Yeah, so it'd be good to look at that. I saw it kind of pop up on Thursday or it was Thursday, Thursday,
Thursday,
Friday,
yeah,
something like that.
Thursday after hours they reported earnings, and then Friday it popped.
Yeah, awesome. Good to see. Are you still in Lululemon or not so
I'm
much?
still in Lululemon, yeah.
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 Okay, sweet. We'll move on to the first charts of the day, and of course, we do have the normal kind of SPY and QQQ on the screen here. SPY is on the left; it's the daily chart, and on the right side, we've got the QQQ, which is the weekly chart. And you can see. Let's have a look at the weekly chart on the right first. We do have a bit of a bearish engulfing candle, which is where the kind of most recent candle was bigger than the candle before that, but obviously opposite colors. So we had a good week 2 weeks ago, followed by a week which opened above the previous week, and then obviously closed below the previous week. So it's bearish engulfing. If you're not too familiar with it, just look it up on just Google Images, I guess, probably the best way to go. I mean, you can see it actually already on the screen. So we had a small kind of green candle here, followed by a big red candle. That's a big bearish engulfing, which of course was followed by lower price action to come. Obviously, there's a bit of a bounce since then. Obviously, it doesn't mean a huge amount, but it's worth noting. Just kind of if you're kind of trading around tech stocks, it might be worth just maybe holding on for a second, see what it does for a couple of days, and move on from there. I'm going to touch on the last point from SPY as well. Obviously, we do have the SPY on the left side on the daily chart, sitting at kind of volume. Currently, here we are kind of about 682-ish. And then we do have the kind of trend cloud just below. So there could be more room for downside, although we did see a bit of that downside on Friday with a push up towards the end of the day. Any observations here on the charts here, Case? I've kind of spoken for a little while now.
I think right now the key is basically is the choppiness, right? So it's basically barcoding at this point. You know, you 1 week you have a little bit of a up, but if you notice, it has not been able to break its all-time high. It's still in
Right.
that very range bound. And the only way you will see some sort of a breakout is you need some sort of a catalyst. It could be the AI trade, it could be something new, it could be some kind of a policy. I don't know if we have any major trade deals left because China trade deal is already done. So I don't know if we have any news on that front left. Um, Earnings is pretty much dying off, like it's pretty much tapering off. We will start from January. So 7,000 on a SPY looks, I guess, a little difficult at this point in time based on Tom Lee's prediction. So not saying it could not happen, but we only have five, maybe less than 10 business days, 10 trading days left for it
Yeah,
to
it's
be.
got to be a tricky move if that was the case. Of course, we do see these moves, and we've seen it fairly recently as well. We've got candles kind of what's that, kind of mid to late November here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and boom, we're up basically about 5% there. So it can happen, of course, but given the latest news, obviously we had the 0.25 rate cut the other day, so that's obviously something to kind of take into account. And also we've got the technical level basically a double top here.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of trade around those kind of things. We had a brief double top here as well, probably what's that, 6 trading days ago. It just kind of failed to break through there once again as well. So it could potentially actually be a triple top, which sometimes is the most dangerous, in my opinion. But I'm sitting on my hands at the moment. I've just kind of got my swing trades. I've got my stop losses in place and just kind of riding out the rest of the year, to be honest, because like I said, we're a bit busy. And I think that's an important point for a lot of people. If you are busy, just don't force trades. Just sit on the ones you have, and then just come back with a fresh mind next year,
Mhm.
ready to go. Anything else to add to that? Okay,
Nope.
awesome. We'll move on to the next slide then. Where to find us? You can find me. I'll go first. Shall I? You can find me on X at Shaun Trades _. I post basically mostly charts, some trading psychology and that kind of stuff as well, and kind of some of my live trades, which sometimes take place. And of course, you can get me on YouTube, which is my catalog of trading evergreen videos. So if you into your trading, whatever kind of stage you are on your trading journey, I'm sure some of that will be able to help you. Had a video come out yesterday, which was the trading goals for 2026, which kind of followed on from the lessons that I had in 2025. So a couple of good videos out recently, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that's it for me. What have you got going on? Okay.
Yeah, similar. I am available on X as well, posting mostly a lot of tidbits of information on trading, my trades that I'm taking. YouTube will actually start to see a lot more activity, flurry of videos. I think the I'm changing the direction of YouTube. Is I'm gonna stick with my picks for the year, and mostly I'm gonna cover those specific stocks, and the usual AI trade. I think I'm gonna kind of keep it very tight, and then the written version will be on the Substack.
Yeah, and for anyone who hasn't seen Kaye's 2025 picks from obviously last year, I'm pretty sure like all of them have done well since the get go. So definitely tune in for Kaye's picks for 2026. We'll have a couple on the stream this time next week as well. So make sure you stick around for that one, 1 p.m. Eastern time, as we are now live. So we'll move on to the next slide then, which is our past performance. We picked a couple of stocks last week. I picked Amazon. It was subsequently down 1.38%. And you picked Rivian, which was up 5.38%. So yeah, a couple of interesting results there. But of course, you take the win once again. So it looks like we're going to finish the year fairly flat considering where we were. So you've won the last well, what's that? 7, 8.
I
You've
think
won
the
the last 7 out of 8 weeks,
Yeah, I
which
think
is
the
incredible.
second half was a better half for me compared to the first half. You were, killing it.
Yeah, no, we definitely switched roles there, haven't we? So a game of two halves, as they sometimes say. But yeah, just a bit of fun. This week we've got I've got Alibaba and you've got NBIS.
NBIS, yeah,
Yeah,
Nebius.
cool. We'll start with Alibaba then. This is my pick of the week, and very simply, I'm looking for a break of this trend line to the upside. You can see this on the American Stock Exchange and also the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well. This trend line is more solid on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, but they both kind of tell the same story. So I'm basically looking for a break here Potentially come back down for a retest of 160. My entry point be around about 160 to 156, depending on when that touch comes back down. Of course, it could not break at all, and that's why we have to be patient, practice patience within our trading. But the simple nature of this is if it comes down and enters, stop loss will be placed down below the most recent low, and obviously I'll follow that up as soon as possible. And the target price would be the highs of what we can see on the screen here, which is 191 thereabouts. You could probably fill up some gaps first, maybe 180, depending on how much you put on the trade, potentially. But yeah, that's my thoughts for this one. I'm not in it yet, but I'm looking forward to potentially taking this trade. I know you don't trade Chinese stocks much, but does this one kind of point out to you, or not so much?
No, I think I generally tend to stay away from the Chinese stocks. Apart from Neo, I don't think I trade anything, any other Chinese stock. I was in Baba. I will tell you this a couple of years back, and I think it was a pretty short term swing trade. It's just there's so many tickers. You just gotta pick your lane and stick with it.
Yeah, it's kind of how it goes with Chinese stocks for sure. Okay, well that's it for my pick. Nice and sweet and short. Very simple, very standard for me. Kind of break of a trend line, breakout stock. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Before we move on to K stock, then make sure you put your stock requests in the comments down below, whether you're on X or YouTube. It would be good to see them. I understand it's kind of middle of the day for lots of Americans. I understand you're probably out and about. But of course, if you pick the stocks and then you come back to the stream later on, which you can watch on YouTube, then go ahead and do that. Put them in the comments now. We'll move on to Kay's pick of the week. What have you got for us, Kay?
Yeah, it's nebulous. The trend line I haven't drawn it that to the point, but it's very similar to your trend as well. I mean, if you're seeing we are currently in a downtrend, it is where the point of control, so majority of the trading is happening here. So either we see a bounce from the current levels, and if we can break the trend line, retest, then that's a breakout. I, on the other hand, I feel like we might see a little bit more downturn to at least see to start to fill that gap. And I really would be interested to start building out a position somewhere in the range of 72, 60, 65 to 72. That's where you start to see a lot of trading volume. But again, we could see a break of the trend here, retest, and if it breaks up, we could see a breakout. But for that to happen, you really need the AI narrative to change. Right now, the AI narrative, AI trade is there's a lot of negative sentiment. If you watch the news, you'll start to see why this. You know, basically they're worried how is there anybody going to recoup their investment, and they keep questioning this. And I feel like this is just like it's like a template. They just bring the same template out on the news channel to kind of say, oh, this is what is happening, let's use this template. So right now suddenly we are talking about, hey, how you're going to pay for these investments. Do we need a build out? Do we? And then suddenly the next day, if some news comes out which is pushing AI narrative, they'll say, oh yes, we need to do the build out is the most important thing. So I feel like there isn't much value watching these news, but at least you kind of start to get the idea on why certain stocks are not trading as well as, because honestly, what has changed from the build out? Build outs don't happen in 1 day or 2 days, right? It's a month, quarters, even years sometimes for the build out to happen. But again, coming back to the NBIS trade, I think watching this level, whether we can see a breakout or we can see a breakdown, and then basically it starts to get interesting in the 60s, mid 60s to mid 70s.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the execution of this trade. I think definitely having patience and see if it drops down further would be my play, just because of the nature of how fast it moves. And you can see on the chart here, even just this most recent low is 80, and it's kind of moved up to over 100. That's a 20% swing.
Mhm.
Actually, well, more than that actually. So yeah, you can see that this stock does move quite fast. And also, if you had a line that started from down here on the left side of the screen, put all the line all the way across the lows, we're kind of just breaking that to the downside potentially as well. So it could be
Exactly.
breaking a downward trend line. And I think Kay's point of coming back down to fill the gap is a good point. But you've also got the 200 moving average there as well, which is normally a good point of contact. So I've written down on my piece of paper here 65 to 70, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah.
So what I will do is I'll set a price alert for tomorrow. obviously not for tomorrow, but I'll set a price alert tomorrow for this, and then yeah, see what happens. It may go up to 120. We don't know, but that's not how my executions work. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this one. It'll be fun. What do they do again?
They are also into the AI build out. So it's just like CoreWeave or IREN.
All right, okay, yeah,
Yeah, so they do the data. So I think initially they were in the Bitcoin mining space, and then now they are getting into this whole AI build out.
right.
Very favorite retail name. I have
It
not.
is. Yeah, I see it pop up all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't been trading this because I've been trading mostly CoreWeave. But CoreWeave, has taken a big hit. So I'm like, okay, let me start looking into this one. This looks interesting.
awesome, cool. That's our picks of the week. I had Alibaba, and Kaye here has NBIS Group, NBIS, which is the typical way of calling it, I think. Awesome. Right, I'll take that down. We'll get into some of the audience requests. Keep them coming in. Let me get the thing up on the screen here. There you go. Ah, is it still snowing where you are then? Or you just slowed?
No, the snow has stopped, but still have to clean. That's a pain
Yeah,
in the ass.
you have to be able to get out at some point.
Yeah, probably.
Awesome. Right, let's get that down. Right, what's up first?
The first one is Rivian, actually. That was the first request. So we'll take Rivian. I think why don't you actually do the technical first, and then we can talk about the future or the trade.
Yeah, of course. So very simply, it's kind of done exactly what I wanted to do. It's kind of moved up towards the previous resistance from way back when, which is back here in July of last year. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. July of last year. We tested that obviously most recently after the earnings. You can see the earnings badge just to the left of K there on the bottom, and obviously we made a bit of a run, came back down naturally, which is fair enough. Obviously, come back maybe reversion to the meme type thing, and it just gradually got back up on the excitement of the company, kind of pushing forward, which we'll get onto in a second. And then obviously we had the event, which was on Thursday, which is these two dramatic candles. I actually had a bit of a sell order, just to take a little bit off the table for Christmas kind of thing. And obviously just had that kind of cash kind of floating about for anything that might happen in the markets. And it wasn't a huge amount, but it was enough to kind of make sense to me at least. So I had that set at 1830, I think it was, top of my head, which I think is that white line. So that happened very comfortably Friday morning.
Mm.
Subsequently, it's come back down a little bit, but I do expect it to kind of continue making a move towards that kind of 25, 30 mark. I think my price target for next year would be 30, for sure. I think it has the potential to get up to 50, 60, but I'm not sure if it'll stay up there, just because, stocks, it's how it works. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next year's price targets for sure. I think Kay wants to mention a bit more about kind of behind the actual fundamentals of the company, because you've been following it quite closely recently, haven't you?
Yeah, so this year, starting I think March, April is when I started to really get into Rivian. And Rivian will be my one of the 2026 picks, just giving it out early, since we're talking about it. And the reason behind is that the there is a narrative shift, and it also has to do with Tesla. And just the way Tesla has been performing over this year, and with Rivian autonomy. Okay, it wasn't like, it depends on who you watch or who you ask. Some people think they did hit out of the park. Some people think it wasn't really that great. And if you actually look at the Tesla fanboys, they are pretty sour about what happened with Rivian. But that's not the point. The point is that so this was the first catalyst. The next catalyst is going to be the mass market vehicle. Now, whether you like the design, whether you don't like the design, it's a standard boxy SUV, and SUVs are very popular in US. So most likely you will see a surge in demand, considering if they can keep the price at 45,000, which I think so far we have got the confirmation they will keep it. I think those two catalysts coming out, I think really will probably put Rivian into a place where it is an alternative to Tesla. You like self driving, whether you like to use FSD or not, that's not the point here. The point is now you have options. Before you only had one option, which is Tesla. So it's good to have competition. It's good to see both companies competing. It's good to see other players also coming in and competing, because that's good for the market. It's good for the consumers. I don't really care. So as you remember, last week I did sell a put. Sorry, I bought a put for Rivian because I knew we could have a sell the event. So we made money on that. And then on Friday, when we saw the 18% upswing, that's great for my long term position and leaps. So you can still love the company and still do the right trade, right? You can sell, you can buy, and you can trade. We are trading here.
Yeah, like a Rivian mastermind, basically. And we talked about kind of trading it in both directions. It's quite difficult to do, to be fair. But quite
I
often when
I
you get
love
a sell the news event, it's quite often
Yeah,
the case.
I love the company, I love the vision, but that doesn't mean, I'm not going to put, if I know I can make money out of it, I will make money, because that's what we are doing here.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to go up all the time.
Exactly.
And you can see that reflected on the chart now. This is the weekly chart now. It's kind of been coiling now for a few years, essentially. Well, maybe a couple of years.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean,
kind of broken out that trend
it's
line now. So
if you bought the stock during the IPO, it's brutal. And I hope you learned your lesson that every time you have an IPO name, now, for example, next year SpaceX might come out. It's probably going to have $1 trillion valuation, which means imagine the stock price,
mm. I think they
right?
mentioned that today, didn't they? The stock price of like $400 and something dollars.
I'm going to stay away from it. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, but you're going to short it or not?
I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let it cool down, let everything calm down, and then decide whether you really want to invest in SpaceX. Because just as because the Elon Musk company doesn't mean you just go in and invest. You have to look at what's going on, right?
Yeah, and so near-term targets or nearish term targets for Rivian, if we expect it to kind of continue on its kind of, I don't know, surge, should we say, a surge towards kind of 25, 30. We've got 23 marked here, which is the most recent highs in terms
Yeah.
of the chart.
And those will be
So yeah,
difficult to break out, right? It's not just gonna see, you will just start to see things breaking out and Ribbon is gonna go from 18 to $80. No, that's not going to happen, right? You will see a slow, gradual increase. You will see a lot of pullbacks, profit taking. See, a lot of people made a lot of money on Rivian, so they will do a lot of profit taking.
exactly right. Like I did the other day. So,
Exactly.
but there will be times where I add to the position as well. So it's just that's how
Add
stock
on
market trading
weakness,
works.
add on weakness, and sell on the strength.
Exactly right. Man Ram is back. He says, "So glad you are back. We are back for sure. We've been back for 2 weeks now, and we don't plan to have a bit of a break for a while. I think I'm away in January for 1 week, but that's fine. I'm only in Spain. But yeah, we'll get to that a bit later on. Okay, what's next then, Kay?
Next is SMR. That's the second request we got. While let me add Man request as well.
Okay, looks like SMR we've actually had before because I've got some lines on the chart here. Um, None of it played. I kind of did play out actually.
To the downside.
Well, both because I think we did a. Let's go back into the daily and have a look. I think we had a potential where it could have gone. So actually, one did kind of play out because it kind of went up to exactly where I put it actually, and since then it's kind of come down.
And it has
I
a
didn't trade any of this. I didn't even know
yeah,
it existed. But yeah,
it has a short interest of 16%. So
really, wow.
yeah,
Does it still have that now?
still no.
Yeah. Okay. We are basically downtrending for sure. I guess people might be hoping for the short squeeze, but in terms of reading the chart, it looks very, very likely it's going to break down to new lows. Just because we've got two kind of tries here and a very vicious push into that, especially with the overall market that happened on Friday.
Mm,
What we'd be looking for is a good market bounce tomorrow morning for this one to have any chance of not breaking this line here. That line is 18. What in my glasses? $18. That is that
yeah,
line.
yeah.
So just be wary of that line there. Where could it go if it did break that? Let's have a zoom out and have a look.
I mean, just looking at the other
15.
highs, like you have a lot of options. Like 1650 could be a decent. support. You could see in the 12, 13 range, you can see some decent support. So there are a lot of uh, support levels. Um, but I mean, generally, you don't want to touch stocks that are trending low.
Yeah, especially when all of the moving averages are above. Um, but if you drew a trend line there, I mean, it could be possible it's breaking out, but it's a very steep trend line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is possibility for a bit of a retest at these levels, maybe a short, sharp bounce below that red line, and it kind of pops back up. But that's kind of clutching at straws there, I would say.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
would stay away from it for now, for sure.
yeah. I mean, there are definitely a lot of support levels from the 14s to 15s to 16s, and then even in the 8, 9, 10 range. But if you buy now and you're in the $8 range, that's that's a big drop. So you want to see the.
Exactly right. I mean, what do they even do?
They are the New Scale Power Corporation. What they do is
Because you've got to think. Sometimes you've got to think about the industry and where it is currently in the economy.
they provide small modular reactor technology solutions. A water reactor that can generate 77 megawatt of electricity. So I think the idea is that you're playing the energy sector.
Hmm,
So the energy sector is again tied up with the whole AI play. So so what is happening is AI plays your core play, right? You have the chips, you have the software, you have the build outs, and then you have energy. So you will see a similar uptrend when the core sentiment is up as well. If if AI concept or AI trade is actually not working in favor, you will see all these pick and shovels also not going in the right direction. You can't have the energy being up if the AI trade is not doing well.
exactly right. Well, okay, I think you spoke about that one long enough.
Yeah,
We've also got Money Manage,
yeah.
who's back once again. We missed you too. It's been too long. Well, it was been too long. We came back last week, pretty much unannounced, really. So it's kind of our fault. But we're back now, as I mentioned to Man Ram in the last comment. A few requests here as well, which is good to see. Good to have you back, Money Manage. We'll get
Let's
onto those in just a second. So who's next? What's next, Stephen?
next up. Do you want to cover Lulu first quickly?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So I think in short, I don't know if you're trading Lulu or not, if you're interested in Lulu or not, but bottom line is the US sales are still struggling, right? They are down, I think 2%, 3%, something like that year over year, but their China sale is starting to climb. And
Okay.
and I can tell you, anecdotal example, I was in China for 2 weeks, and just a sheer number of Lululemon stores I started seeing popping was mind-boggling. So you could start to see the trend that they are starting to tap that market. The second biggest news, I think that is actually bigger news than is the exit of the CEO, which means now they're going to start to look for a new CEO, and I think that is required, and I think that is the reason why we saw this pop, the exit
Yeah.
of the current CEO.
This could be just a beginning as well, potentially. I don't want to sound um, like hopeful here, but you can see on the technical level, we've got a big kind of RSI divergence on this is a weekly chart as well. So this is quite large. We had obviously price action kind of decline since this whole year, pretty much. No, a year and a half actually.
Yeah.
And of course, the relative strength has actually got stronger, especially in the last few months. And of course, coupled with the MACD, which you can't see because it's behind you, coupled with the MACD kind of turning up nicely as well, could be a recipe for further upside. In terms of price targets, we'd be looking definitely, I would say, this price action we can see here. So that zone, let's draw that out while we're here. That zone is about 263 to 290. So that could be a good point to kind of sell some of your stock or maybe the whole position, depending on what kind of trader you are. But that's a good, that's even a good kind of 25% from where we are now. And obviously, you have a stop loss below the most recent kind of price action here, around about 159, which is quite a large stop loss. But again, depends what kind of your risk profile is like. If you go down to the daily, you can see the 200 moving average is in the way of that large target that I just mentioned. But yeah, when your stop loss would be just below these lows here.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already in it. I'm talking to people with potentially that are not in it. Maybe you can wait a little bit for it to come back down to maybe fill this gap and then get in it, just to be a bit on the safer side. I think that's probably a good point to add. Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I probably won't trade it nearby, but I'll stick it on the watch list for sure. So I'm glad we bought this one up today,
Right.
because I was in it, I made some money in it, and I left it. Short term
All right.
trade.
Next one is AMKR. And I think this is the first time we are looking at this. So what is it?
I don't think it's the first time because we've got a line on here already.
You do?
I don't remember drawing that. So
So they provide outsourced semiconductor packaging and test services in US internationally basically. It offers turnkey packaging and test services including semiconductor, wafer bump, wafer probe. Okay. So definitely to do with semiconductors equipments. Interesting.
look
And
how wrong we were. This was the first line that we drew. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of the evidence. But no, seriously. I mean, the last 4 weeks, that 3 or 4 weeks that we've been trading, it's been up, between 40 to 60%. So that's pretty impressive if you've got into that recently. Always tough to buy stocks at this kind of price action because obviously we just had a large run, and the MACD and RSI are probably exhausted. So you want to wait for them to kind of calm down. So perhaps we're looking at the most recent highs, which are here. So maybe just come back down and retest them. I think that'd be a good point to start. So that's probably $38. Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing to mention. Anything else that? Oh, actually, no. Look at this. July of 2024.
yeah.
That could also be why we're getting a bit of a rejection here. But yeah, I would like it to kind of settle down in between this sort of area. Trade there for a few weeks and then kind of make a push up after that. Any thoughts on this one, Kaye?
No, I think you covered it pretty
Level?
nicely. I think that's exactly what we want to see. We want to now kind of start to see some consolidation at these levels. Um,
Expert drawing there.
that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That is
That's
actually pretty good. I have to say.
awesome. Okay. I think we've covered this one quite well. Let's move on.
Next is VIAV. Let's see what's that. It's Viavi Solution. Let's see what they have. Did you cover this also? I don't think so, right? First
No,
time.
this one's definitely new.
So what do they do?
What do they do?
They provide network test monitoring and assurance solution for telecom, cloud enterprise, first responders, military, aerospace, critical infrastructure. So they're into communication equipment stuff, and it's a US based company. And let me look at their quickly financials. So they generate about $300 million in revenue, and their EPS is about 15 cents. So it's a profitable company. Let's see. Yeah, I mean they are in that 250 to 300 range of revenue. And let's see what else they got. They got a strong buy rating from the Wall Street as well. Interesting. And a short interest of 6.5%. Price to earnings, forward price to earnings is 26.43. Let's see what else.
A bit of a ascending channel here. On
It's
a technical
definitely
level.
I think it's definitely worth keeping because it's a $4 billion market cap. It's a small cap company. And we could see, I mean, that's not a bad, I'm going to put this on a watch list.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be following this pattern more than anything. It's kind of holding the 20-minute average. You can kind of see it kind of poking through there a little bit in this line here. So definitely support there. We've got lots of volume here on the right side as support.
Yeah.
As well. So I'd definitely be looking for a bounce around that kind of 1750 level. Let me get that on the chart here for people to see, which will be that line there. So if it needs to definitely hold that in the next few trading days, especially given the kind of dramatic drop down on Friday.
That was an engulfing candle on a Friday. pretty hard sell.
Yeah, very big hard sell. Um, so yeah, we definitely need to see some positive price action, which we have done in the last few months. So definitely there. I mean, we've got a bit of a gap here as well. Must be noted if we are having a look at this chart. Let's be honest. Um, that gap there. I mean, it's a big gap to come down and fill, but these gaps do get filled sometimes. But
Mm,
I know you love a gap, don't you? Okay.
yeah.
Um, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm definitely added that to my watch list as well. So looking forward to seeing how that
Next
develops.
is Tesla. Tesla,
Tesla now. This one's really frustrated me recently.
it's very actually. I'm not frustrated because I have a 520 call open, a solar covered call at 520. So I'm happy as long as it barcodes and it doesn't hit by January 20th 520. I'm happy. I'll keep my stocks. But bottom line is like this is basically barcoding at this point in time. It's been in this range of 400 to 460 since what? September, mid September, and it's getting annoying.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's annoyed me is because I've drawn this essentially a bull flag. You can see on the screen there, kind of a channel that's coming down after kind of positive price action. It's popped out of there. It's come back down. It's retested it, so that would be your entry point. And subsequently, it's kind of moved up, 4 or 5%. Given the market's actually come down a bit in the last week, Tesla showing strength. I mean, that's normally a good sign from a stock's perspective, given whatever stock it is, let alone Tesla. So yeah, we really want to see obviously the breaks of these highs, which I think is what you're talking about there. So breaking that 473 level would be ideal. So you could get into the trade. I mean, I could come in late, come in kind of nowish, and obviously have a stop loss down below this most recent low. That's probably the most reasonable thing to do. But I'll see what happens in the next couple of days and kind of take it from there. But yeah, if we do break the 472, that's another good entry point, in my opinion. With a nice tight stop loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrated me for sure. But I've drawn a Christmas tree on the chart to make me feel better. So
Actually, this is ideal for a wheel strategy.
at the moment, yeah.
At the moment, this is Tesla is an ideal stock for wheel strategy. Like you get in, get out, get in, get out, because they still offer very healthy premiums on a weekly basis. So, if you have the cash, if you have $45,000 to spare, you can sell puts, get the share, sell calls, get leave, get rid of shares, and you'll collect decent amount of premium every week until you know
It
price
moves.
action on the either side. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we know with Tesla, it's very likely at some point it will just go boom to the upside or to the downside.
Moving on
Yeah.
to Rubric. I think this has been I think they had a pretty phenomenal run after earnings.
Oh, look at the amount of lines on the chart. Yeah, this is one I kind of turned away from after getting all this price action. I got into it, and I got chopped out, and I got stopped out here. I didn't lose much money, to be fair, but and of course it kind of trailed down after that, kind of dribbled down below the main support level. Obviously, it looks like it's had quite nice earnings. That's what that line was.
Yeah.
But we've come back up into this zone, which I'll just extend for the purpose of this session. This zone that we were in not so long ago. It's come back up there. It's kind of struggling a little bit. So perhaps if it comes back down to kind of 76-ish to kind of retest that area, then move higher, then that sounds good. Did you cover the earnings at all or look at them at all?
I think I did not cover it. I don't remember covering it actually, but I did see the earnings. They beat the both on the top line and bottom line. And I
Okay,
think that
that's a
was.
good start. Yeah.
And then next year, we have 13 up revisions for the next earnings. So I think folks are starting to get into the into this particular name.
Is there a short float on this one?
Yes, it's
Just
8
potentially.
9%.
That's not nothing, is it? That's
It's
not
not
too
nothing,
bad.
but it's also not big enough for a
Yeah.
squeeze. I mean, you need to be around the 20% to really see some sort of a covering, right? Shorts to cover. 8% is.
Well, it's on the watch list. I've written down quite a few today actually, which is
Yeah.
why it's nice and refreshing.
Rubric is in my watch list, and I think after the big run up for earnings, I kind of like stopped Like, okay, let just cool down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's wise words. If you are kind of trading around these earnings reports, it's always wise, especially after a big move. It's always wise to kind of let it breathe for about 3 or 4 days and then kind of reassess the position, reassess your entry points, and kind of move on from there. At least that's what I do. I don't know.
Next up is
Okay,
Snowflake. This is it's heading to fill the gap. That's all I'll say.
and the gap is there, the white line on the chart. Never
Yeah.
mind all the other lines. We did kind of call the kind of break of the trend line to the downside. Um, Let me just clear this off a bit. The most recent earnings didn't look too bad,
It
but such a
wasn't.
bit. The price action is not so positive, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't very positive. Earnings was, I mean, they had a top line, bottom line beat as well. I think in general, the AI setup um, is kind of weakening. And honestly, I got out of Snowflake. It was one of my top 5 picks for the year, which actually did pretty well. But I think once it fills the gap, I think it'll start to get more interesting. Like if you really want to go back into Snowflake, I think I need to the stock to go below 200. That's when I'll start to get interested again.
That's interesting. Yeah, we're sitting at the 200 moving average now.
Yeah.
That's the red line, and we are what? So we've got 37% on the year, which is pretty good, to be honest, for a stock like this. But I think I'm with you. I probably won't trade this at all. It's not really in my playbook, but I think I'm with you in terms of execution. That coming down to 200 level, I think is key.
Yeah.
But holding that level as well would be even more key. Let's have a look at a weekly chart. So the weekly chart tells a bit of a more solid story. So you've got again that kind of 200 level, which is the white line there. We've got the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average kind of thereabouts. So coming down to there, I think would be really, really interesting
Yeah.
for investors for sure. It could be a good long term play to be honest, which is probably what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even if you're looking at a swing trade, you want the stock to give you that, entry point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Right.
That's the best part about swing trading is having that knowledge to kind of get in execute trades at the right time because swing trades, you can give or take a few percentages, but having those buy limits, those limit buys, limit sells, I think is key to swing trading in general because you can just kind of set them and forget them. You've done your due diligence, you've done your kind of research, you just kind of set so for example here, if tomorrow in the stock market opens and I set a buy limit for 200 on Snowflake, it may hit the day after, it may hit the month after, but the most important thing is it hits and kind of plays out to the trade. What you kind of do have to do is if it does take a while to get into that, maybe there's news reports in that time, maybe there's certain comments that have been made around the company at that time, so just be aware of that. But that's a good way of trading, kind of automating your trading
Yeah.
to a certain extent if you're busy. I waffled there. What's
Yeah.
next?
Next is crowd.
CrowdStrike. Here we go. Obviously failed breakout there, so I'll get rid of that.
Hmm.
We're still very much in this trading pattern, this kind of channel, should we say?
Yeah.
There's room for downside down to kind of 450, and there's room for upside up to kind of 560. But until we get a break of this channel, I'm not that interested. What are your thoughts?
No, I think this is exactly. I mean, it's just in the channel. So if you are selling options, perfect for wheel strategy, right? Get in, get out at a very, very probably add the money. I wouldn't go too much. If you want to really rotate your cash, just add the money. Buy it, add the money, sell the puts, add the money, sell covered calls, add the money. That's where you get the majority of maximum premium and take advantage at this level.
So does the wheel strategy work as well when the stock's kind of gradually going up? I thought with the wheel strategy, we had to be kind of going flat.
Yeah, so even with this, right? Because if you so a lot of option sellers, what they do is they use a Bollinger Band. um I don't personally use Bollinger Band, but it's actually pretty cool to use that. If you use Bollinger Band, you'll start to realize it's exactly in the same channel. So as long as it's in some sort of like a pattern, you don't want to see too much breakout or breakdown. You want to see some sort of a pattern, whether it's flat or whether it's slightly going up. Because when it's slightly going up, you know that you can sell a covered call, maybe a strike higher, and you'll get a lot more premium. So there is a little bit of a bullish undertone, because even in option selling, those are inherently bullish strategies. They're not bearish strategies. Even though you're trying to sell a put, it's still you're trying to get it at a certain price, and then you're selling a covered call. They're still bullish in nature. So that's why it's ideal. Now, if the stock is actually trending down and being flat and down, you want to avoid that, especially selling option, because what will end up happening is you will end up getting a stock at a higher price, and then you can't sell a covered call.
Yeah. So kind of going gradually up is okay.
Yeah, that's fine, because you can slowly increase your covered call strike price to
You've got
get
a bit
that.
of a range here of
Yeah,
almost $100, about $80. That to me is quite large.
it is large, but when you're, of course, you're selling options over here, you're trying to get like $8-9 of premium within this. So
Yeah,
you're already looking at a $10 range, $8 to $10 range on premium itself. So you are basically hedging yourself. That's why at the money is very important. If you're going too far out, but that also depends on the risk profile of the person. That I will tell you. It's not everybody likes selling at the money. Some folks, like, if you want to be super conservative, you'll sell at a 15 delta or 20 delta. Um, so that depends on the risk profile of the trader.
yeah, that's good to know.
Yes. Moving on to the next one, Celsius.
Celsius, looks like it's going to be our last stock of the day.
Yeah.
So
We didn't get any
we'll
other.
cover this one. But this is the
Oh, we
daily
can cover
chart.
one more after that, is the Netflix.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that one to finish off then.
Okay.
Celsius, this one had a bit of a run this whole year, actually. I missed that completely. Kind of February all the way up to, well, hang on, no, sorry, from 21 all the way up to kind of 64. So it kind of tripled in value almost.
Crazy.
Subsequently come back down. The latest earnings report, as you can see down there, probably not very good. It's a red shield. And it's reflected in the stock price. It went from 59 all the way down to 46. That's a big drop. Dropped a little bit further, coming back up after maybe a bit of relief there. But we've got some key support and resistance kind of coming up, as well as the moving averages, as well as the zone that I seem to have drawn on the screen here for some reason. So lots in the way in terms of resistance. I mean, I've never really traded too much into Celsius. To me, it's just a stock around drinks. I don't know if they're particularly innovative, but I think it might just be. I don't, it's just not for me. What
I,
about you?
I think Celsius was such a phenomena. I think 2024. I think
Yeah,
everybody was talking about Celsius.
everyone was drinking it and promoting it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
I
know.
think after that big decline, um, I mean, I'm really surprised. The stock is up 70% almost year to date performance. Crazy, almost 67%.
Yeah, I mean the lows were basically at the turn of the year, so that's kind of a generous number.
Yeah,
Um, but let's have a look at the weekly chart while we're here. Yes, it's kind of finding support at the 200 moving average there, so that's kind of to be expected. But as I mentioned, lots of resistance in the way, kind of between 45 and 50. So I wouldn't be buying it here, that's for sure. Well, for upside at least, I'd probably buy it for downside, to be honest. But
I mean,
um,
if you look at it at a very, if you look at the daily for last couple trading days, it is starting to make the higher highs, right? But I don't know.
yeah, but that could
Enough.
just be a bear flag.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know if it's enough.
Because the bear flag could be. This is quite typical. I mean, Hims is doing this as well at the moment.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
the point of control, the majority of the trading, the big volume shelf is actually sitting between the 30s, mid 30s to high 30s. So there's still a decent amount where you could see a drop to the mid 30s.
yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll move on and finish on Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
What are your kind of feelings on Netflix at the moment?
Well, I think the fight between Paramount and Netflix, I think that's going to be the key.
Yeah, for Warner Bros, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you remember, we actually talked about this range, which I had actually 90 between $94 and $100, and I said, hey, I'll only be interested if it starts to get into that range.
And here we are.
Here we are. Just one weekend, we are in there in that range. Um,
Now, what would you look to buy here then? Would you buy for just straight up shares, or would you go for kind of leap options? What would your kind
so
of
I
strategy be?
actually, uh, yes, I did actually do a Netflix trade this week. So I'm
Oh,
trying to get into. I sold the options for $94 strike, but seems like it didn't get assigned to me because we ended the week at 95.19. So I collected the premium for this week, and I'll rinse and repeat again next week for Netflix. But I don't want to own the share right now. I want to see, maybe we can see even further decline in the stock. I think if the deal falls, if it falls out for Netflix, we might see some pressure on Netflix.
yeah, for sure. So you think you should wait for the news for more
But I don't know when the news is going to come out,
more
right?
stuff?
It could take a few months, few weeks to few months for the news to come out. We might still be in this range. So I want to use this time to kind of get the premiums while it's hot.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And just before we finish on this one, this is the weekly chart on the screen. The MACD is obviously kind of histogramming quite nicely to lower, but obviously it's not kind of turning around yet. So it's not the signal, not the typical signal to kind of go out and buy. I don't really use the MACD to go out and buy, but it's just good to kind of have a look at every now and then. Let's have a look on the daily what that's doing. Actually,
But
probably more of the same. Yeah,
unlike your Mag 7, right? Netflix offers a different um, take on tech, right? I mean, because it's a streaming channel. It's also a little bit more inflation resistant, right? If people are not going to go out and spend money, they'll probably sit down and watch Netflix or any other streaming service.
yeah. No, awesome, cool. I think it's been a really good session. It's been fun
Yeah,
to get back on the road officially.
back on the back.
Um, we've had Man Ran back, we've had Money Managed back, and we've had Gundam here for a couple of comments here as well. And
Gundam,
obviously
yeah. I don't
Paul
know
at the
if you
top of the
know what
show.
Gundam is, but Gundam is like the Japanese transformer.
Yeah, you
That's
saw that right in Japan. You
yeah,
saw
it's
that, didn't you?
it's pretty popular.
I think
It's
I
a
saw it at a distance, but I'm not really into it, so I'm not too didn't go
it's
into it.
one of, they make a lot of money on they sell a lot of merchandise. I think in the top 10, I think they're in the top 5 or 6. I saw the chart somewhere on selling merchandise for Gundam.
Wow, awesome. But yeah, obviously Paul as well at the top of the show. Thank you for the comment. Likewise, all the viewers that kind of tuned in today, we really do appreciate you, of course. And we'll be back this time next week, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Massive thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform. I think you're going to point out the fact it's going to be a special week next week.
It is going to be special weeks.
Yeah, I was
Sure, you
getting there.
drop in, and we will cover our 2025 pick results, and we will bring up our 2026 result as well. I mean, pick for 2026 and see how we perform.
Yeah, we're going to be running a little bit longer as well. Not just because of that, because we want to get a few more audience requests in as well. So make sure you pop along next week. I'll be sure to do a couple of promo tweets throughout the week as well because I keep forgetting to do that. But yes, we'll do that. Obviously, a big thank you to Wolf as well. I think I said that already. Make sure you go and subscribe to us on the YouTube channel at Trading Weekly for more content around us. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Any final words, Kay?
No, that's it. See you guys
Awesome.
next week.
Take care, everyone.